Chapter 2, Exercise 8. Unsurprisingly, processed materials are more valuable than raw ones. Lumber is worth more than timber, and flour is worth more than wheat. The modern analogies are that gasoline is worth more than crude oil and chemicals are worth more than natural gas. Industrious humans used energy to upgrade their natural resources into higher value commodities they could export elsewhere. And, because of the higher value density of the finished products, it was smart to do so. Flour was more valuable per pound and easier to transport than wheat. The same could be said for the water that goes into it. It made more sense to transport a pound of flour than the 1,000 pounds of water required to grow it. Water and energy made it possible to process a wide range of goods, creating value along the way. Chapter 2, Exercise 9. Authenticity and objective success are independent of each other. The fact that a person is pursuing a career path that is an authentic expression of his or her most deeply held values and strongest interests says nothing about how successful the person will be in attaining career outcomes that others can observe. Subjective success, success as perceived by the individual, could potentially be high even with low authenticity. While this might seem counterintuitive, consider a person who had created an organization that was very successful, creating a huge fortune for the person. The person might subjectively see herself as being highly successful in this venture. But what if that person's true passion was for art, and what if her original dream was to spend her career as a painter? Her authentic self would be a painter, but her actual self had become an executive, whose life had little room for art. This situation would be an example of an inauthentic career characterized by high objective and subjective success. Chapter 2, Exercise 10. The philosopher Timothy Morton calls global warming a hyperobject, a thing that surrounds us, envelops and entangles us, but that is literally too big to see in its entirety. Mostly, we perceive hyperobjects through their influence on other things: a melting ice sheet, a dying sea, the buffeting of a transatlantic flight. Hyperobjects happen everywhere at once, but we can only experience them in the local environment. We may perceive hyperobjects as personal because they affect us directly, or imagine them as the products of scientific theory. In fact, they stand outside both our perception and our measurement. They exist without us. Because they are so close and yet so hard to see, they defy our ability to describe them rationally, and to master or overcome them in any traditional sense. Climate change is a hyperobject, but so is nuclear radiation, evolution, and the Internet. Chapter 2, Exercise 11. While media are a significant cause of change in the social order, rarely are they the only one, or largest one. Thus, while the emergence of television likely contributed to changing notions of childhood, several other sociocultural factors may have strengthened this process. One particularly relevant factor has been a shifting balance of power in the family. Unlike the traditional, top-down, family communication style of the 1950s, today's parents negotiate with their children about what they may and must do, and both parties have a say in the outcome. Parents feel it is important to involve their children in family decisions so that they can learn to make choices and develop their identities. The parental motto has changed from "behave yourself" to "be yourself." Parents are more indulgent, feel guilty more often, and want the best for their children. They want to be cool parents, more their children's friends than authority figures. Chapter 2, Exercise 12. As we live in a world made of software, programmers are the architects. The decisions they make guide our behavior. When they make something newly easy to do, we do a lot more of it. If they make it hard or impossible to do something, we do less of it. When coders made the first blogging tools in the late 90s and early 2000s, it produced an explosion of self-expression. When it's suddenly easy to publish things, millions more people do it. And when programmers invented file sharing tools around the same time, a shudder ran through the entertainment industries as they watched their lockhold on distribution suddenly evaporate. In fact, they fought back by hiring their own programmers to invent digital rights management software, putting it in music and film releases, making those wares trickier for everyday folks to copy and hand out to their friends. They tried to create artificial scarcity. If wealthy interests don't like what some code is doing, they'll pay to create software that fights in the opposite direction. Code giveth, and code taketh away.